Is a local resident producers program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Access Television, the City of Oshkosh, the Oshkosh Cable Television Advisory Commission, or Time Warner Cable.
Hi everyone, welcome to Eye on Oshkosh. Cheryl Hentz along with Dan Rylance, and on this particular edition of Eye on Oshkosh we're very pleased to be joined by three candidates who are seeking a position on the Winnebago County Board. Now currently two of them serve on the county board. One serves in District 13 and the other one serves in District 14. With the new districts and the two-member reduction in the county board, those districts are changing, and so we've got two current incumbents on the county board who are having to face off against each other, and they are being challenged by our first guest. They, by the way, will be on the show a little bit later on, but they're being challenged by our first guest. This is Harold Steineke, and we're very pleased that you could be here tonight. It's a snowy night as we take this, so thanks very much for braving the elements. We usually start out political shows by having candidates tell us a little bit about themselves and why they're running for the office they're seeking.
Well, I've served on the board for 2 terms before this.
Okay.
In Area 14. And I like serving on the county board. I like doing what's good for the county, and not just the constituents in my ward, but I also always try to make my decision on what's good for the county as a whole. Okay.
So 2 terms. How long have you not been on the county board? When did you serve last?
When Donna beat me out in the last election.
Okay. Okay. So she defeated you, and you've had a couple years off, and now you want to come back, huh?
Right.
Okay. Why do you want to come back?
Well, there's a lot of things that's going on. Like I know we have to. I think it behooves us to keep up our work with the conservation department and the 4-H. You know, your health, heart, hands, and but it's heart, hands, health, and there's 4.
Well, we're not grading.
Anyway, anyway, I know the 4-H does very good. I know the Tri-County Ice Arena, that's not costing the county any money. I served on my last term on the Jurisprudence and Public Safety Committee. I enjoyed that very much. I'm a former deputy sheriff years ago from the 60s. Okay. And I also served on the airport committee. The airport's another one of the entities in the county that's in the black. It's not in the red. It's not costing the county a lot of money. We're lucky that we have enough movements in the tower to keep the federal dollars in the tower with our people in the tower being FAA. Sure. So it's good to keep the federal money in the tower. They built a nice new tower for us. I haven't been out to see it yet, but I guess it's going to be a nice addition to the airport. You can be able to see the whole airport for change, and not have it like our map with a lot of things you couldn't see. Yeah, I was just looking at this map of what District 14 is now. Why don't you just kind of tell folks where it goes? It looks like you know, it's bordered on the west by part of Wisconsin, and then it goes up to Murdoch, right, and down Murdoch to I'm not sure the street doesn't have a name here, but then it encompasses all those little houses that Menominee Drive, Fairview, Damel, North Point. Oh, North Point, right, all those. White Swan, all those. It goes all the way down to Hickory and Menominee on the other side. And then it stops at Murdoch. Right. And then there's a little, right here along Shorewood, it kind of picks up a little bit there, then it stops, it picks up ever so slightly there, and then it picks up all along Shorewood here, and it's really kind of messed up. A lot of this is marshland, but there are homes along here and in here. So it goes as far north as Snell in some parts, right? But it doesn't cover that whole thing up to Snell. South of Snell, from the railroad tracks out, there's one home, and then there's one home east of the railroad tracks, And there's a couple homes down Bowen Street on the west side of the street.
And of course, this is a new map. This was just approved by the county board and adopted by them in February of last year. Right. So it's not even a year old yet as we tape this. But this is, you know, their handiwork, I guess, in trying to balance out all the districts once the board got reduced to 36. So
I was always proud of my of serving on various committees for the county board, and all my decisions, I voted for. I think our county deserves national recognition for being the first county to outlaw and stop the DNR from burying PVCs in our county landfills or any private landfills in our county. And because there's another method called vitrification that they can do to burn the PVCs, and it turns like into marble stones and stuff, and that can be used in construction of highways and use it for like backfill for them when they build basements and stuff. And you never have a problem with it again. You put it in the landfills of PVC, and then it leaches out 40, 50 years later, and you wind up having a love canal like in Buffalo in Canada, where you have the big problem there with the chemicals later on.
Sure.
So that was always a good move. I also voted for Parkview. I think that behooved us to keep Parkview, and we always keep it fully occupied, so it's not a big drain on the county either. And the way they built it now is so we didn't have to raise our mill rate, and it will be paid for in 10 years. I thought that was fantastic to do that. And to modernize it and get rid of the old tunnels that were leaking and fill them up and divorce those old tunnels.
Sure, sure.
With 3 candidates running, are there issue differences between you and the other candidates that you would want to identify?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of. So this would be more of a personality difference, since there would not be issue differences between you and your 2 opponents?
I guess that would be pretty well said, yeah.
Okay. Could I interject 2 issues to see if there's going to be any difference?
Sure.
Do you favor a $10 million addition to the new county jail?
If the need is there, yes. If we had a contract with the state to house state prisoners, and the county made over $1 million on that. That was good for the county to help pay that debt down quicker. Then when the state started withdrawing their prisoners, I was on that committee that served for the Jurisprudence Public Safety Committee, and we gave Sheriff Brooks the approval to go out and get. He worked on Rock County to get them to house prisoners here. That didn't work. And then it wound up that we're housing prisoners here now from Dane County. And again, the county's made $1 million to help withdraw or draw down on that, on our big loan on that. But it's the jail was built so you can add pods on it for housing people. If you're going to be full and you're going to use all the pods, and we keep it full, yes, that's fine. Otherwise, no, we shouldn't spend more money on it unless we're going to keep it full.
Better and closer relationships with Outagamie County, they're exploring that too. What would be your views on that as far as prisoners?
Yes, that would be, I was reading some of the things in the paper about it. They have to be under the control of the sheriff, whoever houses them and what county it is. Okay. They would still be prisoners from Outagamie County, but when they're in the county jail here, our sheriff takes charge of that.
Well, kind of along those same lines, I know that there's a group that's talking about, kind of regionalizing not just Winnebago County, but the Outagamie County Jail, and also Calumet County is included in that. That's a very large area to cover. I don't know how many inmates we have in Winnebago County, but I know that there's over 500, I believe, in Outagamie County. Calumet is probably not quite as many, but do you think that would be prudent to look at a regional type jail, especially when we've sunk the kind of money that we have into this one?
Definitely, because like I say, if we keep the jail full and make money on the jail so that it pays off the debt load, that's great. They're looking at a lot of things, like our landfill between Brown County, Outagamie, and Winnebago has been fantastic for the 3 counties to merge and work together on these things. So all the 3 counties have made money all the years since we've done this.
So you'd advocate that then, as long as we use our jail here in Winnebago County?
Well, I think it's because the largest and newest facility, and it was built with the advent of adding on different pods, and it can be added right on without a big expense, and it can be handled with the food and everything else real well. by doing that. That's why, you know, the Parkview has been designed almost that way too, with different pods and different wings.
Just one more question on that. Do we have enough land out there to be able to accommodate something that would for sure double and possibly almost triple in size?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
And now we're using they're using energy, you know, from landfill now to operate things, and so we're getting the expense down in jail, the county highway department, the landfill, and all the things in that corner. That hasn't been run over to Parkview yet, but that's a possibility also of running the lines over to Parkview. And
Is 36 supervisors for Winnebago County too many, too few, or just right?
Too many?
Too many.
Yes. And a lot of the constituents have told me that they really think we should, two was a start, but that we should, I realize, having been on the board, there's a certain mathematical equation from the districts and how they can cut it up. Whatever that code is, if it's 16 or 18 people, that should be that 16 or 18 more people to be cut off of the county board.
So you're
to make it more efficient.
You're clearly supporting a major reduction then in the board.
Yes, and no raising of taxes.
Okay.
Along with that, though, the argument always is, oh, you know, there's far too many people then that a person has to, that one county board supervisor has to be responsible for and answer to, and, you know, it'll turn into full-time positions for these county board supervisors. You don't buy into that argument then?
No, that's probably right. See, the county's run with 26 different committees, and if we all serve on 2 or 3 committees, and we may have to serve on more committees if we cut the county board down. So we may have to serve on more committees, but
do you need 26 committees?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. So you think that they would be full-time supervisors then, or would they still be
No,
part-time?
you still wouldn't be full-time, but it would be a lot more time to do the job. But you know, it's awful when you work in all the committees and then you go to the county board and then you gotta you know, satisfy 36 or 38 people to get them to vote one way or the sway the votes. If you had a smaller amount, it'd be a lot easier on governing.
Okay.
We're
down to like 4 minutes here, and I had a question from another county board supervisor, and I don't understand what this is that he's asking, but I'll just read it to you. Do you feel Winnebago County should partner with other counties for a CMO for family care programs? Do you know what that means?
Well, it's to do with over in the Human Services Department.
Okay.
I think that it would behoove all the counties to combine services from all of our counties to help serve all of our counties in keeping our taxes lower and keeping our expenses down. And I think there's a lot of possibilities, like when they merge fire departments and police departments, and there's a lot of this stuff going on right now. And the Neenah-Menasha Fire Department merged, and everybody thought that wouldn't work, and it's worked fine.
It has.
And there's a lot of things that we should do the same thing in the counties, like the landfill. Well, that was an example that we still have our own 3 different committees from the 3 counties, but they work together. They take turns doing landfill and recycling and this type of stuff. And the counties made money doing that. That's been very successful.
Okay.
In fact, I've had people call me from Hawaii to find out, how do you do that?
Go ahead.
Why are there 3 people running for this one district, and in many districts, no one runs against the incumbent?
Well, I think it was a district that I ran in before, and I lost out for a little bit because at the time I wasn't able to campaign as hard as I did this year. And but I wanted to get back on because I liked doing the job and doing things for the county. And because they redistrict now and lowered a couple seats, so that's why Claud is also now, you know, serving on the county board too, and Claud's done a good job. And
are you going to go door to door for the primary, or how are you going to campaign?
Well, I think I won't go door to door. I may do some of that, but the phone is a real good way to contact the people.
Well, the way this is spread out, Harold, you could probably get on a snowmobile and you know, hit some of these places.
Now that we have the snow, right?
That's right. And we keep having it. Aviation Committee, you said that you know, you've served on the Aviation Committee in the past. Right now they're looking at purchasing some additional land out there for airport expansions. You know, I'm assuming anyway, and rightfully so probably, that there is support from you then for that kind of expansion out there.
Yes, I do support that. Also, we had when I was on a committee a couple years ago, we had some developers wanting to build some things out there, and we voted no for it. We wanted to keep the airport. You can't have a lot of stuff built around your airport, because then you lose your not only your identity, but having a big problem with if you have an accident out there. So we've kept the integrity of the airport by voting no, not to have them build big 2 and 3 and 4 story buildings around the airport, including churches. No churches or anything in that. You got to keep the integrity of the airport.
Sure. What, just, you know, if you had your druthers, what kinds of business would you like to see out there if the airport, you know, did get additional land and things did get expanded? What would you like to see out there?
Well, I was disappointed because I tried to get some friends of mine to move in here from Green Lake County that build hovercrafts. There are a couple gentlemen from Australia, and they're building hovercrafts over in Green Lake County. I tried to get them to move over here. Now things worked out that they got some contracts to build 3 hovercrafts at $1.3 million each, and so they bought their building they were leasing over in Berlin. And so, you know, I'm not going to get them out of Green Lake now. They're going to stay there. But they were invited down to Arlington, Virginia, or to what's the naval base down there? I can't think of it offhand. Norfolk. They went to Norfolk, and on their demo hovercraft that they gave the admirals and generals rides around, and I know that the Coast Guard is looking for some hovercrafts to have down there if they have another thing like they had the bomb at the Pentagon or at the Capitol. They could have with the hovercraft, they could take the people out of the buildings, go up the Potomac. If somebody collapses a bridge, they can fly right around it. The hovercraft will fly 6 feet above the waves, so it's not in the water. And so if the bridge is knocked down, they can go right around the land and go right around it. And
interesting.
So they're very interested in getting people out of the Capitol in a fast basis if need be. They're the only people in our country building hovercrafts. I know that.
Wow.
A good friend of mine from Oshkosh Truck, John Stoddard, who's the president of the military, is interested in going over there and seeing their crafts they're building. And they're building, the one they're building now is a 40-passenger craft. They got an order for 3 of them for Belgium.
Really?
And they're using them for shuttling across the English Channel.
Okay, all right. Well, we just, in last week's show, we just had Kathy Lennon on from the county board, and she was talking about the airport expansion. And I was surprised as we were researching things for the show to learn that the Hilton Garden Inn is actually situated on airport property.
Right.
And so they're getting rent from them too. So.
Right. Well, industry, it'd be great to have, people have a business where people could fly in from all over the world, land at a fine airport that we do have. It's a nice facility, and they've made the airport a duty-free zone, so it will help all the businesses, not just Oshkosh Truck. They're adjoining the property, but there's a lot of firms that will beginning to realize that that's available and take advantage of that.
Sure.
And that would help keep jobs in Winnebago County too.
Excellent. Why don't you take about 30 seconds or so, Harold, and look into camera 3 there and tell people why they should vote for you on Tuesday, February 19th.
I told my constituents as I went around to get my nomination papers signed that I will stand for not raising taxes, not creating any new taxes, and also for, I think we should lower the county board more than we did.
Okay, very good. Well, listen, thanks so much for being here. I'm sorry the time was so short,
That's
but
right. Yeah.
got to divide it up into 3, and,
sure.
Whoever wins the primary, we'll try and have the 2 of you back.
Yeah. Okay.
So, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
We're going to take a very short break. Why don't you just sit tight, and we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Claud Thompson, one of the other candidates for Winnebago County Board Supervisor District 14. We'll be right back.
escape.
By foot?
Run across a border.
I couldn't practice my religion.
I was put to work in forced labor camps.
If I stay in Cambodia, I would have been dead by now.
If you think differently, then you're an enemy.
If you know how to read and write, you're dead. You speak your mind, you're dead.
The only way to express what I wanted to do was to get out.
I got to the country when I was about 14 years old.
I was 20.
I was 24.
I came here with nothing. No money, no English.
America stood for freedom, it stands for freedom, and that's what all my generation, young generation, wanted to be there.
For the first time, I felt like I have a right to be on this earth.
Here, you can do whatever you want to do.
I love my life here. I feel at home.
I'm free to do what I want.
Freedom to me means my life.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Thanks.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD. All calls are anonymous and confidential. Trust your instincts.
Poor nutrition today will increase Sarah's chances of anemia, add to her healthcare costs, sick days, even stunt her ability to learn. And the thing is, Sarah's not even born yet. Get proper nutrition before it's too late. Call or visit WIC. WIC provides nutrition information, healthcare referrals, even food. Your child has you, and you have WIC.
Welcome back to the second portion of Eye on Oshkosh, and we're very pleased to be joined now by Claud Thompson. Claud is currently serving in District 13.
That's correct.
Okay, and with the new map configurations here, starting with the spring election, you are situated in and having to run for a position in District 14.
That's correct.
And so that pits you against Donna Lohry, who's currently serving in District 14, and who we just chatted with, Harold Steineke. So why don't you tell folks a little bit about who Claud Thompson is and why you're running for this position?
Well, Claud Thompson is a local who has been involved in a lot of things in the past. I spent 24 years on the Oshkosh School District Board of Education, where I was treasurer, and I left that job in 1994 per a resolution of mine that said when we get out of debt, I will leave the school board, and we got out of debt that year. I ran for the county board against a new appointee in 2002. And have been very active since then. I serve on the Planning and Zoning Committee, which has been a very busy group in the past 4 years, coping, I shouldn't say coping, but dealing with Wisconsin's new smart growth law. We've had numerous community meetings all over the county and so on. I'm attending another one this evening on that subject. So I feel that I would like to stay there. The district has, of course, been changed because of the change in the county size of the county board. It's difficult, as I mentioned to the other two candidates this evening, to be pitted against each other when they're good people.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And they are good people, although I have some very, very sharp fundamental disagreements with them.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some of those disagreements. What do you disagree, and who do you disagree with?
I very sharply disagree with Mrs. Lohry about the size of the county board.
Okay.
I have been following that, and I opposed it very strongly. I find it kind of ironic that by the time it was all settled, we have 12 county board members who face each other, 11 of which supported that move. I was the sole person who did not. I think that it is time for the county board to listen to the voters And I was terribly disappointed when the county board took its action to head off the referendum. I heard things like we have to protect the people from themselves, and it looked to me more like protecting themselves from the people. I noted with some concern that the county board wanted to do a few things to ameliorate some of the conditions that the citizens group was concerned about, but they didn't go very far. We had the Personnel Review Committee, which recently made a report, which doesn't amount to a great deal. And we're finding out that county boards all over the state have been terrified over this law. If I read correctly, a week or two ago, the Ozaukee County Board passed a resolution to change its board size by 2 in the year 2012, which meant that they would be safe till the year 2022.
Right after reapportionment of the 2010.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
I am terribly disappointed that we're not having this grand debate that we could have if the referendum had not been defeated. There were 4 such referendums voted on in Wisconsin this past year. 3 of them did not pass, and perhaps rightly so, because the citizens in those counties did not want it. In Walworth County, they did. The size of the county board is not nearly as important as the way you do things. And now, of course, we're hearing that the county boards are going to have trouble if they've been reduced in size because of the committee problems. The committee system is precisely the problem with the county boards. And I have to repeat that. It is precisely the problem that can be solved only if we recognize that more and more boards are representing vastly changed constituencies. We no longer have the rural counties where everybody personally knows his county board member because he lives close to him. We have a county executive, which was not the case way back when the county boards were huge. We don't need all the committees. So we're hearing all about how the committees won't work if we have a short board. The fact is we should have a short board in order that the committees not work.
So just to backtrack here, you were opposed to the reduction from 38 to 36, and you were supportive of the reduction by the petitions to 19. Is that correct?
I was supportive of the petition drive, yes.
Okay, okay. And you think 26 committees is more than...
At least 24 too many.
24 too many. Okay.
You know, we have an executive who is supposed to be in charge of all of the bureaucracy of the county. And there is no good reason why department heads cannot report to him as they report to committees right now. The committees meet with the persons who head departments, and they listen to their recommendations and virtually always agree. And they bring them to the county board. And when I receive my agendas for the county board, I see the resolution with its whereases and a recommendation from the committee, and that is the basis upon which I vote. This is so very different from my experience with the school board, where we had workshop sessions and we always knew exactly what we were voting about. And we didn't have committees. And we ran an organization, at least in terms of money, as large as the county.
The school board could probably use you right now.
I have those feelings, but I think I'll decline to comment about why, except to say that there are times when I wish I had not left.
Understood.
Well, that's a tactful answer.
Yes.
Yes. Any other issues that distinguish you between either of the other two opponents? Other than the redistricting size?
I think it is difficult to run against two good people. and it's difficult then to talk about issues, except the one I mentioned, where I differ very, very sharply with Mrs. Lohry. And I also believe that if, as the other candidate mentions, you reduce the county board, you have a committee problem. My answer, of course, is that you do it so that you don't have a committee problem. I have taken very strong positions in the past supporting the county executive on the budget, because he has always presented a lean budget, and then once the budget is gone through, people start adding to it, and they restore positions that he took out and forced me to vote against the budget. I voted against all but one of the budgets because of the add-ons that I thought were irresponsible additions to our tax burden and to our county indebtedness. I think that makes me not only a fiscal conservative, but a supporter of careful planning as opposed to ad hoc planning and adding a painter here and a sheriff's deputy here just at the whim of somebody at the budget meeting.
County earmarks.
It's an earmark situation in many cases, to which I have objected. So that's another thing where I perhaps disagree, although, you know, again, I don't know how they've always voted on the budget. My impression is that they've supported it.
How about the jail?
The jail is something I feel very passionately about. And my view is at variance with that of many people.
Okay.
And it could change if I am faced with more evidence that I've been seeing so far. But we right now seem to have the idea that because we're going to have, or because we project that we're going to have a lot more prisoners in the next 5 years, we must get at it right now and build a couple new pods into the jail. My own limited experience with economics says that if you build the jail now, sure, you get it for fewer dollars, but not for less money, because if you build it later, if you're forced to build it later, you pay with inflated dollars all the way along. So the burden is the same, and the argument that you get it cheaper now just doesn't hold water. I do not believe that we should be building jail facilities in order that we can make money housing prisoners from other counties and from the state of Wisconsin. Sometimes I find myself asking, do those people know something that we don't know? If they're choosing not to build jails and bring their prisoners out to us. So I want to hold tight on that. I have a feeling, which again could be modified with evidence, that we have a great deal of space in the former Huber Center, which is now vacant. It's a relatively new building, and as you probably know, housed prisoners who were released during the day and coming back at night. That has been largely replaced by monitoring technology. We also have many prisoners who are such low risk that in my view they could be housed in the present Huber facility just as easily as in the, excuse me, in the higher security jail that we have. I have difficulty seeing that building sitting there, and I have greater difficulty with the sheriff's view that it would require a major renovation in order to become useful. I think it can be a very useful building now. So I'm very much opposed to any addition of jail pods. I think there may be some possibilities with cooperation with other counties, but it's premature and it's worth looking at, but it has to be looked at very carefully.
Okay, all right.
I want to talk about elections for a minute. You introduced me to being a poll worker in the city of Oshkosh.
Yes, indeed.
Claud ran Albee Hall for both the 2000 and 2004 presidential elections, which were the most busy and difficult poll area in the city of Oshkosh, too, and I really learned a lot from you. With that compliment, I want to turn to the Diebold machine, because that is going to be in place in all voting precincts in Oshkosh, or Winnebago County. Are you uncomfortable with it? Are you satisfied with it?
It was in place the last time I worked, and then at the time after that I had to be excused for a health problem in my family. I saw it working relatively well, but there is something inside me that is probably so old-fashioned that said there's got to be some kind of a record that is other than a list of, or a series of magnetic blips somewhere in a chip. I cannot understand why the technology that is used in Diebold, which is a great blessing to handicapped people and blind and deaf people, cannot be used to prepare a paper ballot, which then goes into a slot. So I do have that problem with the Diebold machines. I know of no difficulties so far. I know that there are some people who need to be helped regardless of what kind of machines you have. And certainly it's important to accommodate as many voters as you can. I am not comfortable with the way the Diebold machine is set up, and yet I have no hard evidence to say that it's a bad idea.
Okay.
We are headed towards a very important presidential election this fall, though, that makes one a little nervous, don't you think, about the machine?
Given the allegations of fraud that I've heard in previous presidential elections, it is a little scary. I would prefer paper ballots.
Me too.
One quick question here before we run out of time, and this was sent in by one of your fellow county board supervisors. Do you feel Winnebago County should partner with other counties to, or for rather, a CMO for family care programs?
And the letter CMO meaning?
That I don't know.
Is it something like an HMO?
You know, I wish that I knew, and I hadn't gotten a response back exactly what this individual meant. So I just thought I would ask the question and see if you knew the answer. And if you don't, that's fine. We can go on to something
Since I don't
else.
know what a CMO is, I can't comment further than to say that there are a lot of wonderful opportunities for cooperation with people.
Okay.
And if those can be done profitably, to better serve people, that's a good idea.
Okay, good. Aviation, you're in favor of expanding the land out at the airport, I'm assuming?
Yes. It's a difficult question that a lot of people run into. To what extent should the government be involved in private things? But Winnebago County has a great opportunity to improve the economic situation in the entire county. I personally learned from being on the board of a church a long time ago that when you have an opportunity to buy adjoining land, you better buy it. I'm pleased with the way the Winnebago County Airport is being run. I see some great opportunities with the proposed airside development for commerce along the side of the runways. It is already taking place to a certain extent. So yes, it's a great asset to us.
Okay. Why don't you, Claude, take a look into camera 3 there and take about 30, 45 seconds or so and tell voters in your district why they should vote for you on Tuesday,
now I have
February
to tell
19th.
you how wonderful I am. I can point, I think with some satisfaction, to the 24 years I spent in the school board trying to get them out of debt successfully, and the last 6 years in the county board, supporting budgets that I think are reasonable and opposing willy-nilly additions of that sort. I am particularly pleased to have been in the Planning and Zoning Committee, which has been dealing very extensively with Wisconsin's recently, well, not so recently passed smart growth law, We think we have in place now a good zoning and land use planning system. I regret that I am facing an incumbent and another challenger, both of whom I have known to be good county board members. But given the differences that I have mentioned and the experiences that I have, and by being a native of Oshkosh, I certainly would appreciate the support of everyone in my new district. Thank you very much.
All right, terrific, and thank you so much for being
here.
here.
Thank you, Claud.
Thank you for having me.
You just sit tight, and we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we will be joined by Donna Lohry, who is also a candidate for Supervisor District 14. We'll be right back.
We just escaped.
I escaped. By foot.
Run across a border.
I couldn't practice my religion.
I was put to work in forced labor camps.
If I stay in Cambodia, I would have been dead by now.
If you think differently, then you're an enemy.
If you know how to read and write, you're dead. You speak your mind, you're dead.
The only way to express what I wanted to do was to get out.
I got to the country when I was about 14 years old.
I was 20.
I was 24.
I came here with nothing. No money, no English.
America stood for freedom, it stands for freedom, and that's what all my generation, young generation, wanted to be there.
For the first time, I felt like I have a right to be on this earth.
Here, you can do whatever you want to do.
I love my life here. I feel at home.
I'm free to do what I want.
Freedom to me means my life.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Thanks.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD. All calls are anonymous and confidential. Trust your instincts.
Poor nutrition today will increase Sarah's chances of anemia, add to her healthcare costs, sick days, even stunt her ability to learn. And the thing is, Sarah's not even born yet. Get proper nutrition before it's too late. Call or visit WIC. WIC provides nutrition information, healthcare referrals, even food. Your child has you, and you have WIC.
Welcome back to the third portion of this particular show, and we're very pleased to be joined now by Donna Lohry. And
welcome.
District 14 is currently your district. However, it's quite a bit different, you know, than what you've been used to representing.
Yes, it is.
And we kind of talked about the outline of this earlier. Just out of curiosity, do you have some idea, Donna, how much of your current district is in this new district that goes into effect with this election?
Very little. Okay. The current district was just right down the center here.
Kind of midsection of the city and
north. And so actually I'm 4 houses away from the boundary line on Wisconsin Avenue, and then go all the way over to Murdoch and, you know, and or way up to Menominee.
Yeah, and parts of it up in up to Snell, it looks like. So anyway, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about who Donna Lohry is and why you're seeking to represent this mess over here.
Well,
not the people, the district.
Yes, well, you know, once you get into this, those of us that are political junkies, you know, you just, it becomes an addiction, so to speak. And starting out with the district that I had was very comfortable. So now I'm going to be in a new district. The challenge of meeting these people is overwhelming. Just the challenge of getting signatures at Christmas time and the holiday time and the weather, you know, it's really a very challenging thing. And so we'll try to get out as much as we can to meet the voters and introduce ourselves and, you know, see where we go from that.
What what do you see as the major issues in this race, Donna, or what do you see as the major differences between you and the other two opponents that you're facing?
Well, I think that, and I was watching your previous interview with Claud, and I am humbled by the wisdom that man is carrying around in his head. You know, experience, and that counts. And we will lose a lot of good, experienced people. So I would say that Claud summed it up very well, how big the board should be. And I'm still having difficulty explaining that coming into this term, my first term, with this issue of reducing the board and placing the trust in the hands of the citizens to vote correctly, the number 19 was the thing that tipped the scales. 19, as far as I was concerned, was an unreasonable number to cut the board in half. So, so I did vote to reduce it 2. And now we have an opportunity to watch Fond du Lac County, which did reduce its board by referendum from 39 to 16, I believe it is. And they are having a lot of difficulty with that. So we will see how this all unfolds, because we can watch Fond du Lac County now to see how they handle things. I thought Claude's his mention of having no committees. Now that's something that he has experience with, evidently.
2 committees, I think, is what he wants.
Yes, yes. I thought that was an interesting concept, because I find that it is difficult for me to follow all the committees. And I try to do that by reading their minutes. But when you're reading minutes, it's not like you're there. And this is the first time I've heard him mention having, was it workshops that he mentioned?
From when he was on the school board.
School board, which is a traditional part of their, they have the regular meeting and then they have workshops.
Yes. Well, I thought that was interesting to me, because then I think that everyone on the board would have a better sense of what the committees are doing.
Okay.
And we have started doing some. The review committee has come in, and people are telling what they do. But that's not the same as sitting in a committee meeting. I serve on land water conservation, and there's a lot of things that we are advised of that are good. So did I answer your question?
Well, I want to poke a little bit, because I'm not sure. Both your opponents want to go to 19. I didn't hear you say that.
No, I don't want to.
You're satisfied with 36 and you want to watch?
No, I think that in my mind, from what I've heard from other people, 25 might be a place to go. 25.
Oh, okay.
That might be a number, but I'm not satisfied until I see what happens somewhere else. Okay. Now, if we were, let me clarify, if we were just a county, a rural county, such as Wapaka and Wautoma and those places, then yes, reduce your board, because you don't have a lot of controversy. We have, if you notice the 41 corridor, we have townships in here that want to protect their own turf. And this is where the pull and the shove is coming, because they want to stay rural. I have friends who have a farm that's been in their family for 150 years. And Claude was mentioning just a moment or so ago about this state, and I forget the term because it's not my familiar territory, but the state has got a master plan. Well, you know, some of these people say, well, hey, we don't like your master plan. So anyway, so we want to make sure that we have good representation. So is that going to be achieved with 25? I don't know. I don't know. They've got a lot more experience, you know. They've at least Claude has been around a good long time, and and I appreciate the wisdom he carries.
The Aviation Committee, as you know, is wanting to purchase some more land adjacent to the airport for airport expansions. How do you feel about that?
I would support that.
Okay.
I would support that because the airport is a vital link in Oshkosh to a lot of our manufacturing and growth. And yes, I would certainly support that.
Do you have any thoughts as to what kind of business ventures you'd like to see out there?
Well, no. I'm afraid that it appears that the Aviation Board and Committee is striving to get people that would be a good fit to aviation. And so business is not my expertise. So I guess I would have to say that I'd be happy to hear what they have to say so that I can learn, because it seems that they're doing a good job with what they're doing.
We've asked the other two opponents, as you probably know from watching, do you favor a $10 million addition to the new county jail?
No, I'm afraid I have a little qualm about that. And it may be that with future information, but no. As Claud stated, we have a Huber Center that is sitting empty. And we do not know how long people are going to be having prisoners coming to our present jail. It's a good thing, and Sheriff Brooks is very, very energetic in getting out and trying to get people to, you know, so that he's got that place filled. But I don't know that that is something that we should put the burden on to the taxpayers to be speculating that, you know, there's going to always be this revenue coming in. So I also agree that I don't think it will cost as much, or although I may be wrong, but I think that with some addition, we could be using the Huber Center. From my experience, and I certainly could be wrong, corrected, but it appears to me that sentenced prisoners could be housed fine there, sentenced prisoners. And I think prisoners from other counties, as long as they're sentenced, could be there with minimum security.
Has anyone brought this up about using the Huber Center?
I don't know. I'm not on that committee.
Okay.
What about the regionalization of a jail between Winnebago, Outagamie counties, and Calumet County?
I have a little problem with regionalization because from my school of thought, we already are regions. We are 72 counties. That was not done by accident. That was regionalized at the time. And the problems that I have with my experience of working in the jail, the people who are coming into the jail are usually not the most affluent. So if you have a loved one from Calumet County, and let's just suppose, just for sake of argument here or talk, that they're going to be coming to the Winnebago County Jail. Well, who's going to come and pick them up when they're released? Who's going to bring them their clothes? Who's going to, you know, we are putting a burden again on people who have the least amount to be taking care of that burden. So I'm not all excited about this. Certainly we'll listen to the discussion, see where they go, and, you know, and if I can see that this is a good thing. But it's gotten to be dirty business that we have government. Government is getting, why, it's terrible, you know. We don't want to pay money. And I could segue into the new taxes. There's a group out there that's working to try and get the great big conglomerates to pay their fair share, which they are not. Kohl's department store, Pepsi-Cola company, they're paying no Wisconsin taxes. So this push to consolidate everything, get rid of government, I think we should take a step back and look and see, is this really what we're looking for?
Okay, good point. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked the other two gentlemen, and I apologize, Donna. This came to me by email, and I didn't hear back from the gentleman as to what this little acronym stands for here. But do you feel Winnebago County should partner with other counties for a CMO for family care programs?
Mm-hmm. That, yes, I do know what that means.
Oh, tell us, please.
Tell us,
well,
please.
well, I can't tell you for sure because they love to use those little things, but it is an HMO. Only
Okay.
the
You're right, Cheryl.
The C it stands.
Claud, that's right.
The C stands for something else.
Okay.
But it is an HMO, and I'm a little dubious about outsourcing our care of our frail people into somebody that is very conscious about the money, the dollar sign. Fond du Lac County was the pilot program for long-term care redesign. They have been very successful. But what bothers me about that is that they have made a lot of there's a lot of money that they have not spent. They have a very nice bank account. And that's wonderful. You know, that's fiscal responsibility. That's wonderful. Except, are the people in Fond du Lac County getting everything they need and then there's that profit? Or is the profit coming because of some, I don't want to say stinginess or anything like that, but my goal, as it always has been for our healthcare system, which is why I pushed for Parkview, is to take care of these people who are the most vulnerable. So this process is going along and we are looking at it, we're examining it, and if it turns out that it's going to be good care for our people, then fine, go for it. But I'm a little uncomfortable with outsourcing.
Okay.
It usually costs more money.
Sure. Very quickly, you mentioned Parkview. What would you like to see happen to the existing Parkview, the old Parkview, if you will?
Well, I'm sure that that is going to be utilized as office spaces. That's already in the plan, and it's needed. It is needed because our people are working under cramped conditions, and it's been ongoing forever.
Okay. All right, very good. Well, we are down to about our last minute or so here. Why don't you take about 30 seconds and look into camera 3 there, Donna, and tell voters in your district why they should vote for you on Tuesday, February 19th.
Mm-hmm. Well, where's the camera?
Right straight in front of you here.
Right straight ahead. All right. Well, I certainly enjoy what I have been elected to do 2 years ago, and hope to be meeting a lot of the new constituents. I hope to be out there and introduce myself. And I have continued to learn while I've been doing this. It's been a wonderful experience, and there's a lot more I can learn. So I hope that you will have confidence in me and vote for me so that I can continue on and serve the public. It's something I like to do. So thank you very much.
All right, terrific. Good. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, well, thank you
very much. Snowy night like tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
And as always, thanks to all of you at home for joining us. We'll see you next time. Until then, take good care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.